Now that we have walked through the SEDS funding opportunity, it is important to point out the differences between this FOA and the other funding opportunities that you may review. While all of the SEDS FOA subcriteria elements can be found in the language funding opportunities, preservation and maintenance has an additional 3 elements that applications will need to address, while the Esther Martinez Immersion FOA has an additional 5 elements. As you can see here, many of these are the same for both language FOAs, but the element numbers do change. For the EMI funding opportunity, applications must include an official document signed by the authorized representative certifying that the applicant has at least 3 years of experience operating and administering a Native American language nest, Native American language survival school, or any other educational program in which instruction is conducted in a Native American language in accordance with Public Law 109-394. This additional element is found under the current community condition. Element 4 in the language FOA and Element 5 in the EMI FOA asks that information be provided on the current status of the native language, including 1. The current number of fluent and emerging speakers with details to indicate fluency levels. 2. A listing of current language learning resources available for use within the community. 3. A description of any existing language programs. And 4. It should describe the participation in language preservation by current and emerging language speakers. For both language PNM and EMI applications, applications must select one of 4 specific categories for each outcome. They are increased fluency, increased access to language resources, teachers certified, and increased capacity to implement a language program. Also keep in mind that language fluency is not the same thing as language proficiency. If the application has selected the outcome of increased language fluency, carefully consider how effectively they will measure this increase. For both language PNM and EMI applications, applications must indicate their willingness for other Native American language programs to duplicate or modify their project. They also need to describe how any materials produced by the project will be archived and preserved for future generations of language learners. The application should also include a plan for the preservation of the products of the Native American Language Project for the benefit of future generations of Native Americans and describe the opportunities to share language materials and methods with other Native American language communities. However, do make note that not all communities are the same. It is up to the community to decide for themselves if sharing their cultural knowledge and language is appropriate. If the tribe or organization is unable or unwilling to divulge this cultural knowledge, they can choose not to make their project scalable to outside entities and should state this in their application. The next additional element is geared towards ongoing language learning outside of the classroom and asks that applications describe a plan for parental engagement, including classes in a Native American language for parents or guardians of enrolled students.